I was fishing one time way in top of northern New Hampshire. That's the home of the little brown brook. You get the native trout that's really high. They're good fighters, but the others are the stock hatchery fish are soft and there's not much fight in them. So I used to put a little pup tin on my back and walk maybe miles, 3 or 4 days walk way high on top of the mountains where past the beaver dams and everything, where you get into where the real native trout's at. Oh, how I love to catch those little fellows, to catch them and turn them loose. Just to catch them, that's all. Just to relax yourself. You've got to have something to relax. So especially in this type of ministry. And so Mr. Gold here is teaching me how to hand load shells now, and so yeah, I'm getting along pretty good at that. So up there one day I had a little pup tent setting up, and I'm not a good cook. I couldn't boil water without scorching it. I'm telling you, I just a bad cook. But I can cook flapjacks, or excuse me, I mean pancakes. You know, we call them. We call them everything. Out west, we call them sweat pads. You know what a sweat pad is? It goes under the horse's saddle, you know. And so we always call them down in Kentucky flapjacks. And of course, really, they're pancakes. And you don't have to mix up anything. Put a little of this powdered milk with them, mix them up, and pour them out. And of course, you all know that was a Baptist, and I believe in immersing. I don't like to sprinkle them. I really like to pour it on them. You know, just cover them up real good with honey. And I like honey because that's good for Baptist morale. You know, like John, you know, it eats the honey. And so then I had me a little half-a-gallon bucket full of honey there. And one morning, way down along the creek, I had a hole there where just full of little brown brook, about 12, 14 inches long, and they were just like a team of mules almost in the end of us, one of them fly lines. But there's some bushes in my way. I couldn't whip that coachman fly enough to get up there to where they see my shadow in the water. So then I took my little hatchet and went out there that morning early. I thought I'll go down and chop them bushes down so I could whip the fly and get back there and get some of them big ones out from under that place where the water poured in. They get back high in the deep water. So I went out and chopped it down, caught a few, and was on my road back. I brought 2 back for my breakfast. Before I got up to my little tent, I heard a noise, and that country's full of these little old black bear. Some of them get pretty good size, 500 or 600 pounds, but there's long and last of May, and there was an old sow, or what's your mother bear, and her 2 cubs had got into my tent. Well, it isn't what they eat, it's what they destroy. They just love to destroy anything. So I had a little stove up there cooking. They just got down and got that stove pipe and jumped up and down, went like that just to hear it crack, you know. And they'd tore up everything there was in there. And one of them had found my bucket of honey. So they love anything sweet, you know. And so when I come up, the old mother bear, she heard me coming, so very sensitive, and she run off and she cooed to her cubs. Well, they're little, cute little fellows, and usually when it's something like that, you haven't got your camera, you know, to get it. And one of the little cubs run off, the other one just sat there. Well, I thought, what's the matter with the little fellow? And she cooed again, but he didn't come. He just sat there, had his head down. Oh, what's the matter with that little guy? Well, I had an old axe in my hand and an old rusty rifle hanging in the tent, but I guess it tore all to pieces at that time. And I wouldn't want to have killed her anyhow because they have 2 orphans in the woods. So I thought, now I kept a tree in mind because with them cubs, she'll scratch you, you know. So I thought, now, if I could just see what that little fellow's so curious. He was just, I said, why didn't he come when his mammy called him? So I kept stepping this way and watching a tree. So walking around, I thought, what's the matter? I said, hey, get out of there. And he just stayed there. Now the old mother cub and the other and the cub and the mother walking around cooing, you know, and her calling this cub, and he wouldn't move. And I thought, now there's something he's found that he's interested in. When I got sideways, that little fellow had my bucket of honey, and he had it like this in his little paw, you know, and he got the lid off of it. Now he didn't know really how to eat it, so he'd take his little paw and stick it down like this, you know, and lick, and lick. And I got around, I laughed at him a little bit, and I said, get out of there! And he turned and looked, and his eyes so full of honey he couldn't see me, and he's batting around looking at me like that. It's just all over his little belly, just as full of honey as he could be. And I thought, if he isn't having a Pentecostal jubilee, I never seen. No condemnation, no fear. Just had his hand in the honey bucket. Just a licking. I think that's something what we've had this week. Don't care who says anything. That's what reason we're Pentecostal. Don't care what the rest of them says. We're worshiping God. So we just got our hands in the honey bucket plumb up to our elbows and just been licking. Maybe don't see so far, but we're full of honey. The strange thing about, to finish our little story, you know what happened, Dad? When finally he got the bucket licked out, I just stayed and let him have a good time. So after he got through, he staggered off, went over there, and the others licked him. So if they didn't get in the meeting, they'll lick. Just keep testifying. Yes, the mother and the other were just licking him as hard as he could. That's getting just some of the leavings, you see. So, but he had his hand in the honey bucket. Fellowship. Nothing like it. Old Dr. Bosworth said to me one day, he said, Brother Branham, you know what fellowship is? I said, I think so. He says, two fellows in one ship. So that's about right.